This week on Arizona Illustrated, a Parisian in Tucson, Naim Amor.
So for me, playing music as an acquaintance with gathering, sharing, and do something that's gonna be great.
Casa video.
It didn't really take off until people started realizing that we were different and we were carrying these different titles.
Bells on campus. And far afield with birds and arrows. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Naim Amor is a French native who grew up in Paris, but in many ways he's quintessentially Tucson. His first love is music. Producer Vanessa Barchfield spent time with this Arizona transplant to find out more about what makes him tick and why he is so loved.
That's what I want, basically. I told myself as a 16, 17 years old, I remember that, like, you know it's gonna be difficult, but you promise something to yourself. You'll never give up. So sometimes there's been moments where you're like, I can't do this anymore. And I was like, it's that bad bell ringing. You heard it, you knew it would come sometimes. I was like, no, just keep going at it. So I'm here, and that's what I'm doing. My full name is Gabriel Naim Amor, and I'm a musician. I have to say, a name like Amor never got me a negative experience. I get a smile at the grocery store sometimes when they see my name, especially in Tucson where it's very Hispanic, so Amor means love. I grew up in Paris, in the 18th arrondissement, which is known for the main tourist attraction is Montmartre, you know, Sacré-Cœur, Pigalle. I had a really great childhood growing in Paris. You learn how to be pretty independent because I realized our parents left us just go play in the streets. Every single corner reminds me of something experienced, but it's also all those corners, they're in paintings, they're in films. So there's something that's kind of magic for me just to walk in Paris. My grandfather was a musician. He played the violin and the saxophone. He had his own orchestra in the 30s, 40s to early 50s. Every time we would go in the family, everybody was playing music. So after a lunch, you know, in the summer, the people would just gather instruments and start playing some music for no audience whatsoever, but just for yourself. So for me, playing music as an acquaintance with gathering, sharing, and do something that's gonna be great. I started playing violin when I was 6 years old. I know that I quit when I was like 13. I wanted to do something else, but sure enough, 6 months later, I started playing guitar. I love practicing the instrument. I hope everybody gets something, not necessarily an instrument, guitar, but you have something you can go to every day. It grows and it feeds you. What brought me to Tucson, really, love. Like, I met a woman then, we were very young, and she was living here. But what kept me in Tucson, though, is music. The first time I visited Tucson was in '95, and the downtown was very, very quiet, you know. There was like, I remember clearly the Hotel Congress, and then maybe a couple places open at night. Most of the streets were just no man's land. But it was very magical because it was very dense in a certain crowd of people that I met immediately. And it was kind of like a playground for people who were just looking for something different. And it clicked with me immediately. I got to play as soon as I came here with like amazing musicians. Maybe I found what I grew up with my family. It's just like you get together and play some music. It doesn't have to be a representation and being a perfect and everything. No, it's just you do what you're doing right at this moment. And that element of spontaneity is part of maybe what's precious. And if there's people and a place where you can capture that, for me, Tucson was the place. What do I do besides music? Well, I have a family. I raised my son with Crystal, my partner. Take care of the house, a little bit of cleaning up in the backyard. Take care of my car that I love so much. I like doing little artwork, stop motion things, and that's pretty much it. How do I describe my music? I cannot say I play rock and roll, it's not true. I can say I play jazz, it's absolutely not true. So, I don't know, what do I play? Rituals are important to create music. And I think for me, it's very important, like even a small gig, I'm like, I'm gonna play this guitar, but along with the guitar, it sounds very funny, but I love those shoes. And I want to put those shoes on. It sounds very shallow. It's not. It's very important. It's definitely not the end of the world, but it's important. By the way, a lot of people get addictions because they get it. You get them in the mood. So I prefer the addiction of shoes and cool clothes. If you want to make a song, you have to find genuinely what is truly satisfying for you, not for marketing reasons, not for some other people or something like this. I think when I make a record, I hope it's gonna be beautiful and people are gonna say, it's so beautiful. But what I hope is they find it beautiful because I find it beautiful. But Picasso said that I'm not searching, I find. Je retiens, tu retiens le matin. There's something about accepting or recognizing what you find. A lot of people find some great stuff, but they don't see it. So they think, oh, it's not good. It's like, it's really good. You don't see it? To me, the moment when you're like, you get something, it's like the feeling that you truly own something. Not something you bought, but you truly own it. And you're like, that's me right there. It feeds your soul.
In this day and age of streaming video, Netflix, HBO Go, and Hulu, you might think the video rental store was dead. Well, think again. Casa Video, as one of the largest video stores left in the country, is both staying the course and reinventing itself by providing a community-oriented movie experience to Tucson.
Well, it was in the 80s. That was the explosion of VHS, and there was all sorts of independent video stores that were popping up all over. We were, going to these stores and not finding the movies that we were necessarily interested in, because we're big fans of classic movies and foreign films and documentaries and things like that. We thought there was a niche that we could fill. We had a little store in Grant and Campbell, and we started that in '83. 2 years later, we were looking for more space, and my brother actually saw that this location was available. There was a distributor that was in Phoenix that we would go to. They're no longer in business, but they had a huge warehouse. And you would go there and you would just get a shopping cart, and we would go down the aisles. We'd spend all day and we'd go down the aisles and just grab movies and fill up this cart. Oh, this is great, we got, and it just sort of blossomed like that. It didn't really take off until people started realizing that we were different and we were carrying these different titles. And then DVDs came in, I think in the 90s.
I guess what I really enjoy most about movies in general is just storytelling. I just love a good story. Pretty much a lifelong obsession. The moment I moved out here, my brother-in-law insisted that I needed to come see this place. I'm the general manager here. I've been here 14 and a half years. My first job was in a grocery store, and I did everything I could as soon as I could to move to their video rental department of that grocery store. So I've pretty much been working in video stores since '97. A lot of other video stores would get rid of a lot of their copies of older movies, whereas we always made sure we held on to at least one copy of everything. We do have customers who are like, oh, you haven't seen everything in this store? No, I'm only in my 30s. There's no way.
We do have, I would say, probably hundreds of VHS still in our inventory. And the reason we hang on to those is because they're not available on DVD. A lot of people have hung on to their VHS recorders, but we do rent them as well.
Just our selection, it's so far beyond what was available for the heyday of video stores.
The adult section?
It exists. I honestly don't know what to say about that section other than it exists, as does the internet.
For a long time I thought Steven Spielberg directed everything, and that was just the thing. Some of my favorite movies when I was little growing up was Serial Mom, Hairspray, Crybaby. And then I realized, wait, these all kind of had the same vibe to them, and that's when I first discovered, like, wow, the director did this is John Waters. So, I don't know, a whole new world opened up for me.
All right, sir, they're due back on Saturday. You have yourself a great week, man.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
We seem to be a destination that people go to because they can't find that movie anyplace else. I think it's great. I mean, we've really managed to have quite a film library. I don't think people realize really how important that is. I'm still buying a lot of different titles. What we don't buy as much of is like the big blockbusters like we used to. We used to get like 70 copies of something, and now maybe we pick up maybe 20 of a big hit.
There's a note on your account that says groovy. All right.
That's cool.
All right, there we go. $4.35 today, man.
You have like Netflix and Hulu and all these different platforms.
It's not so much that we get customers who don't watch Netflix. I think Netflix is down to maybe a couple thousand different titles on their streaming service, whereas we have something close to 80,000 different movies here.
Netflix, Hulu, HBO Go, I have all of them. And this place.
But I'm going to watch it again.
Okay.
I've used Netflix and those type of online or order them online services. There's something to be said about holding the product in your hand, reading who's in the movie, right?
That's why this place is still around, because old school, like people like us, are still interested in having, like Larry said, having it in his hand.
Yeah. This is much more a whole package deal.
If you're paying attention, most video stores are sliding off the map.
When I first started, I would pass 2 Blockbusters in Hollywood every day to get here.
Once these huge libraries go, it will be harder for people that really love film. If there's something particular they're looking for, they might not be able to locate it.
There you are. Keep it open, close it out.
We realized that we had to support this business another way.
Thread seal, all right.
When craft beer, really kind of took off in town, I was trying to figure out a way how I could include that. We just sort of started looking at the store and seeing if we could actually find a spot for it.
Sure, the bar has certainly helped business. It does help bring in new customers.
We come about once a week, every Thursday, because the curry pot food truck is here.
No special occasion. We just decided to show up on a Thursday night, watch some movies, have some wine and cheese, and just have a good time.
Remember how fun it used to be to just walk up and down the aisles and look at all the movies?
And they have everything.
Yeah,
like
literally everything.
stuff you can't get on streaming services. If you want something really obscure, you put a suggestion in the box and they'll get it for you.
We always have a movie playing. We have events, board games, and trivia events. And it actually kind of worked out better than we even had imagined it working out.
The whole thing works together.
Having drinks while watching a movie, it's like having Mystery Science Theater right here.
We love movies, we love this business.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. There you are, dude.
We put a lot of time and effort into it, and we want to hang on as long as we can.
And now, from our Far Afield series, we bring you Birds and Arrows. Well, if you haven't noticed, University of Arizona students and faculty are back on campus. And getting to class on time is encouraged by the sound of bells that chime every 15 minutes, like clockwork. If you've been there, you know they have their own distinct sound.
The bells ringing?
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, I'm not good at singing.
Bum, 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 bum.
The bells in the main administration building?
Well, it was the chimes for the clock. They tell us what time it is every 15 minutes and on the hour.
So this is for people without watches?
Ah, dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it is my doorbell at home. I've never thought about that.
The Westminster quarters make up a pattern of notes that we hear all the time if we want to know what time it is. And it dates back to the late 18th century, when in Cambridge, England, at Great St. Mary's Church, there was a new clock, but some musicians, possibly a law professor with the help of a music professor and a music student, came up with this series of notes that we now hear to mark time all over the world. Now at the University of Arizona, we have the same pattern of notes that we hear at Big Ben. It's called the Westminster quarters. First 4 notes that we hear, this is for 15 minutes. And so what we get here at the hour is
The auditory experience of hearing these bells is different depending on where you happen to be listening. The mall is set up beautifully to create a lot of reflections back and forth from the north side to the south side. We picked this particular spot because we're going to make a recording with the bell sound passing by our microphone, and it's going to travel across the mall, and it will reflect off of the very flat surface of the Koffler building and come back, and we'll also then record the reflection.
Well, I'm looking forward to talking with Brad about what he found out about the Westminster chimes and how they sound different parts of campus.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Brad, how are you?
Bad story. Come on in. I think we're gonna.
All right.
I want to show you some data that we recorded last week. So this is a map of the U of A Mall, and the sound source is somewhere on top of the administration building. The effect that people experience is that you get extra beats that pop up depending on where you happen to be standing. So the hypothesis is that it's coming from reflections off buildings.
We like to think of music as, here's the score, these are the notes, and we analyze them, but to think more than 250 years later, it's still being reinvented just automatically by our environment, that these pitches are being reinvented.
You write the music, but then you launch the music into whatever environment it happens to be, and it takes on the life of that context. And if you think about a typical undergraduate, they're going to hear those somewhere between 15 and 20,000 times.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.